it's actually just not working. It looks so good. I'm so happy. This is Simple Living with Biata. For the last 2 years, I've been planning to build my dream home and homestead from scratch, to learn to be more self-sufficient, to pick up new skills. And the last few months, I've been working super hard. I have our foundation done. I have 3 of our walls built, and now it's time to get the rest of them built before the wall raising party. It is another day of framing, and guess who I have with me?
I'm back.
And if you're new here, this is my stepdad, Craig. He was able to take a day off his busy schedule this week to come and help me. Last week, I left you off with 3 walls built and they need to be sheeted. So that's our first step this morning. I absolutely love having Craig here with me for anything to do with OSB because I hate cutting it. The plan that I thought of is that he can cut and I can nail the OSB. The plan has been set.
There's your first mistake. Yeah, the plywood's supposed to land on a stud, so that way you actually can contain it. Otherwise, you have to put in a backer board.
You learn something new every day with Craig. Mm-hmm. Glad you came today because I would have done all of my walls like that. Okay, while Craig gets set up, I'm gonna cut off that chunk of OSB back to the stud so that it's done properly. As I'm putting down the sheeting, I'm making sure that there's 1/8 of an inch spacing so that if there's moisture and it swells, it doesn't buckle. I'm also making sure that any nails going into the base plate, which is pressure treated, are galvanized so that they don't rust. All 3 walls have OSB on them and it's only 11:30 in the morning, and Craig is gonna go around and cut the windows out. While he does that, I'm gonna lay out the top and bottom plate for the next wall that I'm framing.
Oh,
when Craig accidentally cuts the wrong part of the window.
It doesn't happen often, but it does happen.
Everyone makes mistakes. Nope. Is that it?
It's loose.
Woohoo!
Just gotta go cut a new one.
Nice. Look at it.
First window.
Looks so good. That looks awesome. Hey. Window 2. Next up, I'm building the corners where my 2 walls will meet. My plans called for these 3 pieces of wood nailed together, but I kind of wish I did the California corner where there's 2 pieces of wood and you can fit more insulation in behind. I'm not gonna lie, I am super tired at this point, and I know in the next coming few days, it's gonna get even worse with this wall raising party coming up because there's so much to do. So that brings us to today's sponsor, Element, because it really helps me with energy. To put it simply, Element is an electrolyte drink. And if you work your butt off, whether you work out, you do physical labor, or you're in the sun sweating, you are losing electrolytes. And I notice a huge difference when I don't replenish them. Oh my gosh, I needed this. When you sweat, the primary electrolyte that's lost is sodium. When sodium isn't replaced, you can experience muscle cramps and fatigue. And what I love about Element is that there's no sugar, no synthetic food coloring, and no artificial ingredients. Right now, Element is offering a free 8 sample pack of all of their flavors with any purchase when you click on my specialized link in the description at drinkelement.com/Biata. drinklmnt.com/Biata when you place any order. And thank you so much to Element for sponsoring this week's video. Now let's get back to framing. We are making quite the headway today. Wall number 4 is framed and sheeted, and we can't do the whole thing though because there's pipes in the way, and also it needs to overlap the other wall. So Craig is working hard at cutting the studs for the next wall, and I'm gonna draw out the base plate. He's working hard. So I put some blocking underneath this portion of the OSB. This wall is actually overlapping the next wall, and that's why there's overhanging OSB. So this wall is being lifted on top of the anchor bolts. So I want to make sure the OSB doesn't snap. Well, we got how many walls? We got 3 walls sheeted.
3 sheeted, 3.5 really.
3.5 sheeted, 2 built, 2 extra built.
Yep.
And then 3 walls prepped, like all the lumber cut.
Yep. Got a lot of cutting because there's no pre-cuts.
Yeah. So thank you, Craig.
You're welcome.
And Craig will see you next week for the wall raising party.
Yay!
All right, see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Oh my gosh, the math for my cathedral walls. This has been keeping me up at night for like what feels like weeks, these 2 cathedral walls. If I just didn't do them, my home would be so much more simple to build. But there is so much math involved with this roof pitch, and there's so much Pythagorean theorem. So yeah, it's a new day. But my days feel like they're just blending together now. And I'm gonna get there. There's lots of just triangles and math and Pythagorean theorem and lengths and da. By the way, if you ever make a mistake and you don't have an eraser, the back of your tape works. I'm trying to figure out all of the lengths of these exactly. And I'm doing it by doing the Pythagorean theorem. I'm figuring it out. I want it to be exact, which is why I'm doing the math for it. I get that you could probably just like lay it out and mark it, but I don't know. I just want it to be perfect. All right, I have a partial list. I'm gonna get cutting and start trying to lay this out. If you've been watching my channel the last few months, you might remember that I have a 10-inch blade on my 12-inch miter saw, which was working for just cutting regular angles, but for cutting this on a 45-degree angle for a 12x12 roof pitch, it's not finishing off the cut. So I found this spacer that's supposed to go in between my blade for my 12-inch blade. So I'm putting the 12-inch blade on, and that way I can cut through the studs. I'm having a rough day. I can't get this miter saw in the right position. Nothing's working. Can't get this silver piece to come down to where the screw is. So nothing's working. So this whole piece was completely off in the wrong spot, which obviously isn't safe. So I'm thankful I'm able to fix it. And I'm sharing this with you because I think it's important to share the mistakes and the little things that go into building a home. I could cry. Oh my gosh. It's working now. Something I forgot to do is to check the crown before I make the cut, because that's going to determine which side of the wall it's on. The crown is facing up here, which means the left or right side. Okay, this is facing so this needs to be on the left side of the building. So when I go to cut this exact same stud for the right side of the building, I need to check my crown first. This side is the crown, and we're doing the right hand side. So now if I'm doing the right hand side, the angle of the cut needs to go this way, which means I need to cut the board on this side. So many little details. I don't understand where I went wrong. These two are matching up at the top, and these are not matching up at the bottom. This is just, it's actually just not working. Like none of this is working. I am done with trying to do the math for this. It is clearly not working. And I'm gonna do what I said I wasn't going to do and create a template. Okay, I have everything lined up to this wall. The cathedral wall with the double top plate and a regular wall with a double top plate. This has been really stressful. For my next two studs, I'm laying them out on the template, marking them, cutting them, and putting them back down. Basically, I've been spending all day doing this. I have it figured out over here. I have to do the other side. I'm just gonna get cutting and I'll come back to you in a minute. I have this wall somewhat laid out, literally taken me all day. Like it's literally the end of the day. Like my daughter's here, my husband's here. We're gonna try getting this wall together. This side a bit further down. Right now, my husband and I are working on nailing the 4-ply beam together that holds up the LVL beam that holds up the cathedral ceiling. As I'm going along and nailing the 2x6s together, I'm asking my husband to lift or lower the stud so that when we nail them together, it's nice and flush and flat. I really wanted to get this whole wall done today, but there's always another day, and we needed to get our daughter to bed. Good morning. What is on me? The plan of action today is to nail in the headers, to square it, and the 2 header beams that are going on 45s across the top. So first things first is time to nail some headers together. I'm putting in a 2x3 spacer in between so that later I can put in some insulation. I'm looking at everything and I'm super nervous because the beam that's supposed to go here on a 45 doesn't look like it's gonna fit properly, and it should mathematically. I'm just gonna put it down and put my worries to rest, and hopefully it works. Oh, okay, that should work. Yay! It's not even done yet, but it looks so good. I'm so happy. This has taken me way longer than I wanted it to, but it's so gorgeous. I can't wait to see it up and with a ton of windows in it. The cathedral ceiling has always been a dream of mine. The first home I grew up in actually had a cathedral ceiling with big windows, and I have a lot of amazing memories there and having a beautiful view of the wetlands in front of us. Obviously, windows let in a ton of light, but the other thing these windows do is they provide such an incredible view for the property that we bought, and that's why so many people in our area will do these big cathedral ceilings, much bigger than mine. And so although I'm not building a giant home, it's still decent. It's 1,300 square feet. I wanted to be able to bring in these touches of the area that I grew up in. The big windows, the cathedral ceilings, and I am absolutely obsessed with windows that match their roof pitch. So our cathedral ceiling is a 12-12 roof pitch, and all of our triangle windows are a 12-12 pitch. That means for every foot it goes over, it goes up a foot. This wall is officially done. It's looking so good. I can't believe it. That was such a hard wall to frame. Okay, yesterday I left you a little bit because I just needed to get some work done. So I have the layout for the next wall done, and now I'm gonna start laying out the studs. This time I'm not gonna do math for it. I'm gonna lay out my studs, mark them, and cut them. I did have to figure out the math for where the stud is landing along the top plate just because measuring alone wasn't really working. I was only eyeballing it. So the further I get away from this outside wall, the more difficult it's getting. So I just used the Pythagorean theorem. I just had to measure the length, and then that's the same as the height because it's a 12-12 pitch, and then use the Pythagorean theorem and then get the diagonal to figure out what the measurement was along the top plate.
There's a presence in the great beyond, reaching out and reaching on.
This wall is coming along really well, and my hubby got off work early today. So he came to help with all these cuts, and hopefully we can get this wall done within the next half hour, 45 minutes. Wow, it is done. A full day's of work, one wall. I can't believe it. I'm so happy. These two cathedral walls are definitely the hardest walls I have ever framed. Before that, it was those walls. Before that, it was the shed. That is the extent of my experience. And like, I just want to say that you can do this. Like, maybe don't make a mansion your first home, but if you can do general math and you can use a saw and nail wood together, I feel like as long as you follow your architect's and engineer's instructions, you're good to go. Number one is passion. Number two is the belief that you can do it. And then is actual ability to put the nails and the wood together. What an incredible experience. Tomorrow is the wall raising party, and I definitely didn't give myself enough time to do all of this, but I'm gonna be working into the night with my husband and Craig and early tomorrow morning to get the last 4 walls nailed and sheeted and ready to go for the wall raising party. But you're gonna have to come back next week, so stay tuned, hit the subscribe and bell notification button, and like and subscribe is the best way to support me and my family. Thank you so much for joining me this week, and I'll see you next week where we're raising some walls.
No,
That's how good we did.
We did it good. Man.
Holy crap. Pat on the back. Look at us go.